Hi, my name is Enzo Melgarejo. I'm an economist and political commentator, and today we are going to take a deep dive into Canada's political crisis and the mounting challenges faced by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. From escalating tensions with its close trading partner and neighbor, the United States, and to internal political fractures, this could be the end of the Trudeau administration as we know it. Over the past few weeks, Prime Minister Trudeau has faced one of the biggest political challenges of his administration, and that is the possible trade war he's going to have against the United States. The announcement by President-elect from the United States, Donald Trump, about imposing a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods entering the United States has sent shockwaves to the Canadian political community. For a country where trade with the United States represents a big portion of the economy, or I would even go as far as to say a majority of the economy's portion, this tariff isn't just a normal policy, it's a recipe for Canadian disaster. Canadians perceived Trudeau's initial response as very lukewarm. Instead of aggressively condoning Trump's suggested tariff, he called for dialogue, which many Canadians interpreted as weakness. His critics argue that he failed to stand up for Canada on the global stage, and this perception has then therefore eroded Trudeau's public trust significantly. Then after that, adding fuel to the fire was the resignation of Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland. Freeland, supposedly respected for her approach on economic policies, has resigned with a scathing letter outlining her concerns. She emphasized the need for fiscal responsibility and foresight, warning that Canada was unprepared to fight a possible trade war with the United States of America. Freeland's departure didn't just destabilize the Liberal Party, it actually sent shockwaves through the political landscape in Canada. As one of the key figures on Trudeau's cabinet, her departure clearly exposed the fragmentation within the government. It signaled to the opposition and to her own parties and to the general public that Trudeau's leadership was getting considerably weak. Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party, has wasted no time capitalizing on this situation. In his speeches, he has accused Trudeau of being unfit to lead the nation and out of touch with the needs of ordinary Canadians. Poilievre's approach to take a hard stance against Donald Trump's proposed tariffs have resonated with a lot of Canadians, particularly in provinces such as Alberta and Ontario, where most industries are already bracing for the potential impacts of these tariffs. On the other hand, the left-leaning New Democratic Party has also stated that they will officially withdraw support for Trudeau's government, leaving the Canadian Liberal Party at the mercy of the Conservative Party, which they can just call for a no-confidence vote. And this vote could, for example, trigger snap elections in Canada. All of this couldn't come at a worse time for Canada, which is already dealing with political turmoil and the housing crisis, soaring inflation, and stagnant wages. To add even more, you can see this trend clearly on the levels of public dissatisfaction that Canadians have on the Trudeau administration at 70%. This is one of the highest disapprovals of any administration in Canadian history. They particularly disapprove his management of the economy and also his weak stances on foreign policy. For many people, Justin Trudeau's leadership style has been seen as progressive, but more and more people are realizing that currently his administration is just out of touch with the reality of everyday Canadians. Even within the Liberal Party, rumors of discontent are growing widely. Also, rumors and murmurs of a leadership change are circulating, with some Liberal congressmen already stating or already doubting if they will support Trudeau on a no-confidence vote. For Canadians, the stakes are incredibly high. The next few months will determine whether Trudeau stays in office or if the country is headed for a new direction via a new administration. As Trump prepares to go back to the White House, Canada's economic and political well-being depends on the need for a strong leadership. Next, I want to talk also about the United States, the so-called land of opportunity. They pretty much have the same problems as Canada. Sure, they are the biggest literal economy of the world, but they still have a lot of problems like housing crisis. The cost of living is out of control. Healthcare costs are absurd. You got a growing insecurity. Some of these places you cannot walk anymore. I've been to the United States recently, and some of these places are even more dangerous than third world countries, which is amazing. And you also have a big problem for younger people, which is student debt. To add more on top of that, political polarization is at an all-time high. It's ripping the country apart. It doesn't matter if you think you're left or right. Apparently Washington only seems interested in culture wars rather than fixing real issues. Infrastructure is crumbling. The wages aren't keeping up with inflation level. You see stagnant wages for the last 40 years. And the costs increasing at an alarming rate. So yeah, the situation over there is also very similar to Canada, and it just means that more and more people are struggling just to get to the end of the month. And on the other hand, for businesses, the US can be a regulatory nightmare. To open up a business, you need so many documents, so many papers, and you need to be constantly checking for any new regulations. And just know that one wrong move could mean endless years of lawsuits and lawsuits. So yes, while the US is still the number one economy in the world, it still offers a lot of opportunities. Most of them come at a high cost, one that's often too high to be justified, right? And I also want to talk about the other country in North America, which is Mexico, which some people see it as a rising star. I particularly don't see it this way, and let me tell you why. While it's true that Mexico has made many strides in commerce and services and manufacturing, as we all know, there has been an increasing trend of nearshoring, which is moving factories from Southeast Asia into Mexico, closer to the US border. But the reality is that with all that, it is still plagued by corruption and insecurity and the usual problems. As you may know, crime rates in Mexico, in some places, they are just out of control. If you have a business in one of these cities, you have to navigate the underbelly of criminal organizations. And when we're talking about that, we are already talking about bribery, criminal cartels, corrupt government officials, and just unstable governments. Even if you're just relocating as a digital nomad, or let's say as a retiree, you need to carefully assess the security of the area you're going to be around. And let me tell you, right now Mexico doesn't seem a really safe place, especially considering what Trump said, what Trump promised, better said, during his campaign, that he will declare war on the cartels and use, I quote, all overt and covert methods or options there are to finish with the cartels. So we might see increased violence from both sides, from the cartels and from the government forces, which at the end will just have the local population on the crossfire. So in other words, sure, Mexico is quite cheaper compared to the United States or Canada. There are some benefits when comparing against those two countries, but let's face it, is a few bucks worth the risk of having to live in such dangerous places, in such violent places? Well, I think not. I don't think it's worth it. So with all of these issues in mind, why not consider another country that is close culturally, religiously, and politically, but without all of these problems we just enumerated? Why not consider a place like Paraguay? Unlike the North American giants, Paraguay is a stable, affordable, and secure country. In fact, here are 3 points I think that really sets Paraguay apart from other countries in the region, and especially from these 3 countries. The first point is low taxes. In Paraguay, you will not find any crashing income taxes or any crashing VAT or corporate taxes like you will find in Canada or in the United States. You'll actually find that government here is really small and is really pro-business, so they are really trying their best to garner any foreign investment into the country. The second point that you also quickly realized when coming to Paraguay is the safety and stability. Compared to Mexico's cartel issues or America's increasingly insecure cities, Paraguay offers a peaceful environment to live and work. You'll actually realize that Paraguay is probably one of the safest countries in all of South America. I wouldn't go as far as to saying the safest, but it's definitely one of the safest. And it's very safe, especially when you compare it to a normal American city or any Mexican city. It's especially safe when compared to those. And you'll also find that the third point is the affordable living. This point is very simple. Things are just cheaper here. You'll find that your money goes way further than, for example, in the United States or in Canada. In fact, some of the products that you find here are actually made in these three countries, in Mexico, United States, and Canada, but they are cheaper here, which sounds paradoxical, but it's true. On top of all of that, you also find that Paraguay is very welcoming to foreigners. The residency process is very straightforward, it's very streamlined, it's very easy. And you also need to know that there's no constant anxiety over visas or immigration crackdowns like you will see, for example, in the United States, in Canada, or in Mexico. All in all, Paraguay is just a welcoming place, a secure place, a cheap place with low taxes that is very open for any foreigners to come and share their expertise with Paraguayan society. At Nomad Elite, we help people move to places where they can really thrive. If you are tired of high costs, political instability, or feeling like you are not getting your money's worth in Canada, the United States, or Mexico, or anywhere else in the world, I strongly recommend you to contact us at nomadelite.com to book a consultation with us to review any possibilities of moving to a more thriving country with a better outlook on the future, such as Paraguay or any other thriving nation. Don't forget to like the video and comment any doubt you may have, and also try sharing. And thank you for watching. See you next time.